While Batman is fictional, his impact on the world is almost as real as any actual person's, and his influence can continue to inspire people to improve and overcome far into the future. Let us know in the comments how Batman has changed your life. Perhaps this is best illustrated by the story of legendary writer Paul Dini in his book The Dark Knight. Released in July 2016, it walks us through the serious assault that Dini suffered through while working on Batman the Animated Series. While Dini was accomplishing much in his career, Batman fans were loving his content and he was working on Mask of the Phantasm. He was having a rough go of it finding a woman. This is what led him to being in the wrong place at the wrong time late one night when he was seriously assaulted by thugs. And surprisingly, or perhaps not too surprisingly, Batman does save him, in a sense. I'm surprised Dini survived this attack. We can see in detail just how injured he was. He was mad at the police who responded for not taking the beating as seriously as Batman would have, for not taking the steps Batman would have taken to find the men who'd hurt him. To cope with the trauma, he turned to drinking and video games. But he also had imaginary conversations with Batman, Batgirl, and various members of the Rogues Gallery. Most of his conversations are with Batman. At first, Batman gives him advice in a friendly manner. But it doesn't take long until Dini is angry with Batman for not being there for him when he was attacked. Dini admits through the book that Batman is fake. He is a drawing. But working through trauma isn't always a logical process. So he gets mad at Batman and tells him, "You should have been there for me that night." Batman, in turn, reminds him, "I was there, if you had bothered to think like I do." Batman points out that Dini had seen the men who almost killed him ahead of time, in the distance, and ignored the warning signs, implying that if he hadn't, he might have gotten to safety before the attack happened. Reading through this book shows how, and how much, Batman led to Dini's recovery. He didn't just eke his way through putting the pieces of his life back together post-trauma, but rather, like Batman, he used the trauma to make himself a stronger person. He and Batman had some difficult conversations, and Batman pushed him to give up his coping mechanisms and face his fear and pain head-on, to banish his own demons. Dini ends the story with saying that Batman is real, not as a vigilante who rescues people, but as an ideal, an inspiration, a voice that reminds us to rise and overcome. And Dini's not the only one to go through this process. I too was assaulted years ago when I was very young. In the middle of my recovery years, I started going through Batman stories, and he inspired me to overcome and make myself stronger. That trauma should not define me as a victim, but as a conqueror. And I went through the steps to take my life back. And now I enjoy teaching other girls situational awareness and self-defense. I think this is why I love Batman so much. Because he teaches us to use our one bad day to be the starting point to helping others. How has Batman influenced your life? I would love to hear from you in the comments. And there are more Batman and Hunger Games videos coming soon. I make these as I can and I post them as soon as I have them ready. Sometimes I take a while between uploads, but I want to make sure that you guys are getting the best quality videos that you deserve.